Hello, welcome to the Blackout podcast where I get to talk to amazing people who do amazing things. And today I'm so excited to have my friend and the CEO of Intuity Performance, Ange MacCabe. Thanks for coming to the podcast today.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
And what's Intuity Performance?
Ooh, that's a good question. So at Intuity Performance, we take biotech managers and turn them into leadership champions to really decrease company risk and increase company success. And we do that through what we have dubbed whole person performance. And so it's not just looking at core leadership skills per se, but also the softer skills, which I don't feel are soft to learn.
Yeah, I don't know. I never understood why they call it soft skills, but I think those are actually more difficult because you can learn to do the thing, but if you don't have those things, you might as well not be doing that job.
Absolutely. And I mean, our stats tell us that, leaders that have emotional intelligence are 88% more likely to be successful than not, right? So the data's there.
So, and what was the background? How did you get to do what you do today?
Oh, that's a great question. So I've always been kind of into some form of leadership role, whether it be, with sports or with community stuff that I've done in past. And when I decided to go to school, I took HR. Oh, okay. So I always tell people in a past life I was an HR professional, which I still am, of course. And I found myself in roles where, and this is where I get a little bit vulnerable out of the gate, it wasn't great experiences for me. Oh. So getting into companies, I loved the people around me. Maybe the culture was good. Maybe they were trying to make the culture good, but the direct management experience wasn't that great for me. And realizing now that was my push to really kind of go within and be like, okay, well, is it you, Ange? Are you just a bad employee? Or, do you need this development, or is this a larger message that you need to pay attention to? And so I started doing my own self-work and realized that it's not me, it's them. I'm just joking. No, it's realizing that there's a huge gap with regards to leadership skills, right? Because we do the thing in the workplace, and when we do great, we get promoted to leadership. But we're not taught how to guide a team, or how to move from peer to manager, or how to deal with stress, or then how do you champion organizational policies with people that you used to be drinking beers with, or something like that, right? So because I seen that gap, I started to, quote unquote, obsess over it a little bit, right? Not in a bad way or weird way, but just so much I'm super curious as to what does this mean? And continuing to do a bit of research, I'm understanding that it's $1 billion market. So think about all of our larger companies out there, or even mid-sized companies, I should say. And you have managers in the workplace that aren't performing from a leadership perspective. Well, that is 2 times that person's salary, minimally, when you have higher levels of turnover. Or if you don't have a lot of turnover, it could mean that it's lower productivity, you're not getting innovation, meetings are longer, people are taking advantage of perks or benefits, etc., right? So it's a thing. And what I'm super passionate about is being able to help, I guess, super smart leaders do the peopling side of things.
Yeah, because sometimes there can be a disconnect. This person is great at doing that thing, but how they deliver news or how they ask people to do things is come on.
Right. And so that was kind of my first glimmer of this is what I want to do. So I went and I was certified by the ICF Coaching Association, and also trained from a facilitator perspective through Labor Advanced Education. So, again, for me, it's knowledge, education, build, action type thing, right? So built myself up and reinvested, I guess I would say, and then decided to go out on my own. And what I've learned between now and then is that when it comes to leadership and those soft skills, that truly is the gap between performance and innovation, right? So there's a whole other wheel of things to think about when you're talking about leadership, right? Because I always say we have our backpacks. So what stuff is in our backpacks, right? Right. And there's a lot of things, right? So there's past experiences, there's our behavioral type. How do we deal with stress? What about resiliency? Like there's all of these things that are jam-packed into leadership. And then people are just thrusted in these positions where they're expected to perform and be A players. So all this to say is that when it comes to leadership, I'm super passionate about leaders looking within first. Because if you can't lead yourself, then how are you leading a whole team? Or even one person or a project or that task even, right? So yeah, that's kind of where I come in from.
So you left a HR. Was that scary, branching out to go do your own thing?
I was terrified, and it wasn't so much about going from an employee to an entrepreneur. It was going from supporting someone else's brand and thing to being super vulnerable and in the public eye. Yeah. And that's something that I've really jostled with, I would say, over the past 5 years, as to, allowing people to see me. And you had mentioned when we were talking back and forth about a question with regards to formative memories. Yeah. And that really allowed me to reflect. And I was like, oh gosh, wow, that's a deeper question than I thought it was on its surface, because it really kind of pushed me to think about the times that are extremely positive memories. That's a time where I've been my authentic self. Oh. And it's just aligned, right? Yeah. And those times where I've learned a lesson, I guess we'll say, those are the times where I wasn't in alignment with my authentic self. Either I wasn't speaking my truth, or I wasn't presenting myself as my whole self. And then it didn't work out on so many levels.
Yeah, I mean, that makes the choice easy, right? Like when I'm myself, things are good. When I'm not myself, things aren't the best. So like deciding which of yourself you should put out there, super easy.
Yeah, wow. Definitely. I mean, there's more to that.
Obviously, yeah.
But yeah, that was a large lesson for me, I guess I'd say.
Okay. And then the name of your company, where did that come from?
So Intuity Performance, again, it leans into the thought process that it starts within you, right? So it's a blend of like our leadership intuition with regards to when it comes to performance, the performance starts with you. So there was a couple other flavors in there that we've evolved from or into, I should say. But yeah, that's the gist of it, essentially.
Awesome. Okay, let's talk about the podcast, your podcast.
My podcast. Yeah, okay. What do you want to know?
What was the reason behind starting it, and how's it been going?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when I started Intuity Performance back in 2019, our actual launch date was a week to the day for the first round of our pandemic. Oh, right? So it's like, surprise! You're out on your own. Figure that out.
Right.
The silver lining was that everything went online, and 90% of our business today is still online. So it really opened up those floodgates of people being open to learning online, coaching online, etc. So grateful for that in that instance. However, when it comes to the podcast, it originated from a place of, oh my gosh, look at how many peers in my community have to shut their doors, and they're not able to feed their family. They're not able to potentially keep the heat on or the lights on. They're burning through their cash. It's the lines of credit. So being an entrepreneur, I could feel it, even though I didn't have a storefront, right? And so originally, the podcast was really to showcase other Atlantic-owned businesses in the time of need, so that they could tell their story and what they're passionate about, and that thing that they do, or the product that they sell, or the restaurant that they've started, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where it originally came from, was to showcase other businesses. From there, and also kind of moving through Intuity Performance's timeline, I had a business partner that bought into the company, and we tried to utilize the podcast as basically like a sales funnel, right? So you're connecting, you're still networking and stuff like that. You're building a relationship with CEOs and entrepreneurs. And then it also served a place of informing the public about leaders and the leadership how-to, right? For me, again, it wasn't authentic and it didn't stick. So I don't feel like in the first instance of the Human Side of Business podcast that I was a high performer. I felt like it was like almost like start and stop. I was asking a lot of questions to my business partner, didn't feel like I had a lot of confidence around it until I said, listen, like I'm not getting joy out of doing this. And I want it to really serve a purpose. And, we need to figure out our sales funnel from a different perspective. And then once we kind of flip the script, I will say, with regards to Intuity Performance and the Human Side of Business podcast, and started utilizing it as an education tool, right? So it's like we started to talk to leaders, entrepreneurs, business owners, anybody in the leadership realm as to, a certain topic or a soft skill, and just looking to educate. And that is when we start to grow. So we have listeners in Africa, in Europe, Australia, and all across North America now, which is like, I look at the stats sometimes because I let other people do that and let me know what I need to do, basically at this point. But for me, I get excited to know that the message is being spread. So now, the third graduation of the Human Side of Business podcast, I have my senior consultant, Maria, on there with me, and we have a lovely dynamic with regards to back and forth and being passionate about the same topics, especially when it comes to leadership and helping leaders find themselves and then therefore evolve their teams in the workplace. So I think we've found our groove, and then we still, have our regular podcast type stuff back and forth and our riffs, which is really fun. And then we bring in other leaders or coaches every once in a while just to kind of like mix it up.
Wow. Yeah. And then how do you prep for an episode?
Oh, that's a good question. So typically what we do is, from a marketing perspective, we've looked at our trends, what's working, what's not working. And then from there, we have our marketing strategy that our podcast backs into. And so for us, we have things we have things set out 6 to 12 months in advance with regards to topics. So then that gives us time to identify, like, who do we want to bring in? How do we want to approach this? And then, of course, we do a bit of research to make sure that we're offering current best practices and evidence-backed information, as well as identifying a little bit of that emotional storytelling with regards to our experiences with our clients, experiences individually, experiences that we've seen from a third-party perspective. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's great. And, having it planned ahead kind of makes it a little bit easier because you know where you want to go to and you know what you need when you do. Something you've talked about and something that Intuity Performance is all about is leadership. And I'm curious, what's leadership to you?
Oof. I see this is why you don't prepare questions. You really want authenticity.
Yeah. I'm just like, we just having a conversation. Because, like, if I'm like, we'll talk about this.
I know. I can have a script and it just doesn't work. Yeah. No, I get you. It's a big question. Leadership's a big question. To me, when we're thinking about it from the perspective of a definition, leadership is anybody that is tasked with the responsibility of leading a project, a person, a thing, right? So to me, it need not be a position of power, a title, but rather it is a role that you play. When I start to think about leadership from a place of responsibility, it's just like a sports team, right? So when you go from playing a position to coaching a team, there's different levels of responsibility that you really need to tune into as well as different skill sets. And then on a personal side of things, having a young child, I'm also responsible with leading my child and making sure that they are having the best formative years that they can. So I feel that leadership is multiple things, and it can look like multiple positions or roles depending on the dynamics of a person's job, family setup, etc.
Wow. Yeah. And what makes a good leader to you?
Okay, a good leader to me, think about it in like bullet point list, I guess is what's coming up for me. A good leader to me is someone that is willing to identify when they've made a mistake or that they don't have all the answers. A good leader to me is someone that when they speak to you, they're looking to ensure that you're getting what you need and not just that agenda kind of checked off, right? A good leader to me is someone that can call your BS, right?
You can't say shit.
Someone that can call your BS and be like, hey, I need to call you up here, right? I know you can do better. You know that you can do better. Help me understand what's going on here. So for me, a leader is able to play that balance between ensuring that organizational objectives are being worked upon and figured out and problem solving, but doing so in such a manner that their team members, when they go to bed on Sunday night, they're not thinking, I don't want to go to work on Monday. They're like, I can't wait to go to work on Monday. Or I'm anticipating Monday because there's this problem that I want to solve. And I know that there's psychological safety in my workplace.
I'm like, I want to be a leader, right? Yeah. What are some things I can do, apart from getting training from you guys? What are things I can do to step into that position of leadership for myself?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah. And again, I think I speak in like pillars almost when I think about this. So it's understanding what is the knowledge that I need to acquire to be a good leader. What does that look like? How am I currently showing up as a leader as I understand it today, right? Because even as a leader myself right now, I'm not the same type of leader that I was when I was in HR. I'm not the same type of leader that I was last year because of continuous development, right? And then it's also thinking about it from the workplace perspective. What are the expectations of that leadership role? Because you may have a totally different definition of what leadership is. So understanding those expectations, I think, are super important, as well as seeking out training and or development, coaching, whatever your jam is, to understand how to build upon your soft skills.
Wow. Okay, and I'm having a wonderful conversation, and I'm thinking, like, you've built your business to where it's at now. Are there some future things in the pipeline coming up for you, for your company?
Absolutely. So currently right now, we are working on exporting to a new region, Ireland specifically. So super excited about that.
Nice.
And also too, what we've noticed at Intuity Performance is, and it's not news, is that if you focus on emotional intelligence, then you can grow emotional intelligence. The thing that really kind of sparked my interest in coaching is that as humans, it takes time to form habits. And when you think about the workplace, especially fast-paced workplaces, do they really have the time? And when I also use that term loosely because it could be patience, not time, to develop their team members or their leaders, right?
Right.
And so I started thinking, well, what would it look like for those leaders that genuinely want to learn how to lead and the soft skills behind it? What could be that delta? So instead of 20% in 1 year, what if there could be 40% change in 6 months?
Right.
And this is where the idea started percolating about 3 years ago with regards to what we now call Nova, and that is our coaching agent. So we're getting ready to launch kind kind of our friends and family beta testing April 1. And the intention is not to...
April 1?
Yes.
April 1?
Yes, like in a month.
Right.
And the intention is not to replace certified coaching, but rather augment it.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
So let's think about this. When we're utilizing large language models or artificial intelligence, oftentimes there's trends, there's different predictions that can help coaches to really understand the person that's in front of them, or virtually or otherwise, right? So being a coach, I'm a human. So if I'm sick, am I going to be as observant as I typically am when I'm not sick? No, the answer is no. Or if I'm having a bad day, and I don't have time to give myself that self-care to boost myself up for a coaching session, Nova essentially is your coaching agent so that it's a win-win. The coach can understand trends with regards to their needs, behaviors, baseline, any other types of trending recommendations around emotional intelligence or how they're unpacking leadership habits. And then on the flip side, individuals that integrate their leadership development with Nova, they have basically a coach in their pocket 24/7. And it doesn't have to be, we're not setting it up as text only. You could literally talk to Nova and then have a conversation that can then either further be unpacked by your coach or then further built upon.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
It is.
And so you're having a soft launch April 1.
Yes.
When you think you'll be ready for
I'm hoping the fall.
Okay.
I'm hoping the fall. The competitive side of me right now, honestly, wants to be October 1. But yeah, we're hoping the fall.
Okay, so I do second guess the way with this last question.
Okay.
And what's something that happened to you before you were 17 that plays a huge role in who you are today?
Oh gosh. It's hard to pick one. Can I pick 3?
Go for it.
I'll go quick. So basically, I believe there was 3 formative things that have happened to me. So one being that with my parents growing up, if I was ever making mistakes or trouble, getting in trouble or sick or hurt, they showed me safety every single time. Were they happy with me all the time? No. Was I a good kid? Yeah. And they proved that to me at a very young age, that it's okay to feel comfortable in my skin and the environment that I'm living in, which I'm so grateful for. The second thing was, it was a bit of a thread. And it's funny because I was talking with my parents about this the other day, and they were mentioning all of the leadership awards that I won through sports or community involvement when I was younger. And I was like, those are just awards. And to me, it wasn't, that type of acknowledgement doesn't bring zest or really get me super excited. It's rather the reason why I'm getting those awards. And in sports, I think that was my first taste of leadership. So being captains of different teams and therefore getting MVPs. Then with Chocolate Lake Community Center, it started off as my mom paying me to be a junior leader so that I wouldn't get in trouble in the summer. and then what turned out was that it was another kind of leadership role in the sense of helping younger children, some with disabilities, some without. And I had so much fun with it. So it was the first year that this was piloted through HRM. And I had won the Junior Leader Award of the Year. So so those would be the top kind of 3 things that have been formative from a younger age.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ange, it's been... wait. You've brought some magic to the show. So, yeah, I have to let you go with a little bit of magic on mine. So, here you go. Write a number between 1 and 60.
1 and 60?
Yeah, and I'll try to let you know what that number is. But don't show me the number. You can point it to either of the cameras once.
To the camera? Okay.
Yeah, once you're done. And these cards are going to help.
So you can't see?
No, I can't.
And you don't have glasses that reflect anything?
Yeah, I can't, like, I need glasses to see, so I'm kind of like all glass-eyed right now.
No, I bet you don't have any reflector.
No, I don't have any monitors, so I don't have anyone telling me on the side what your card is.
Okay.
Have you pointed it to the thing?
I will.
Okay. Okay, so your number is going to be in at least one of these cards, but it can be more than one, right?
Okay.
So here we go. Is it here?
Yes.
This one. Okay, it's here. Is it here?
No.
Nope. Is it in this one?
No.
All right. Is it in this one?
No.
Okay.
This is getting easy for you.
No, I don't think so.
No, it's not.
So. Is it here?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay. Is it here?
No.
Oh my God. Okay. So
this is what I mean. You have one card to choose from.
I have only one. It's not in any of these cards.
Okay.
That's 16. So it has to be here.
Oh.
Do you want to check? Is it not here? No? No?
No.
No. Okay. Is it in this one? No. Is it in that one?
No.
No. And oops, sorry. Here.
Oh, yes.
Oh, we go.
This is why I deal with people, not numbers.
And is it in this one? No.
No.
Okay. Is it 20?
Yes.
There you go.
You have a great memory. That's awesome.
I mean, you know what? Congrats on finishing up Nova. I mean, I can't get to test it, but I'm curious what it's going to be like. And I'm so grateful for all the cool things you do.
Thank you.
And I'm also grateful for having you here on the podcast.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time and being here today.